Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
What's going on, everybody? Week four. The fantasy football season continues. What's this? Absolutely sickening, but it doesn't matter because we got to play the game. We've chosen to play the game, and don't hate the player, hate the game. This is just a bunch of nonsense that I'm talking about because I'm avoiding talking about all these injuries. But welcome into Sunday Live. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate your time. If you've never joined us before, welcome in for your first time. This is how this show goes. We take a look at the big picture because more injuries decided to pop up since the Friday podcast. I somehow predicted that there was going to be more hamstring injuries because that's not a scary side to take because they just keep popping up all over the place. We do have some good news, though. It's not all gloom and doom. We have some guys back here. But so we go over that. Then we go to the machine, the computer, thefantasyfootballers.com. We have a start-sit tool available for you right now that takes a look at our rankings. We give you some reasoning, some of the process behind why those rankings are the way that they are. You can go check that out. But what we do then is we track. We see who are the trending players because each and every week there's players that are asked about far more than any other. And, look, I only have so much time here on this Sunday Live. TheFantasyFootballers.com. It has all the rankings. If you want that super incredible ultimate dashboard feature that we've been talking about on the show, that is at jointhefoot.com. That'll give you all just a ton of stuff like spot starts off the waiver wire you might think about picking up, a custom waiver order when Tuesday rolls around, a lot of cool stuff. Check that out at jointhefoot.com. But let's get into the big picture.
The big picture.
Jeremy, we do have a couple people saying.
Yeah, I'm looking into it. I can hear everything fine on my end.
Some are saying audio is fine. Some are saying it's not. I don't know. It sounds good to me, but I don't hear what y'all are hearing. I just hear the dulcet baritone pumped directly into my ears. Mike the Fantasy Hitman Wright, sounding smooth. Here we go. At the quarterback position, Jordan Love is back, everybody. It's against the Minnesota Vikings. It's not the greatest matchup in the entire world, but he is back. You got to have confidence in Jaden Reed. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson become flex options. Like Romeo Doubs each and every single week is an option. He's out there the most for the Packers wide receivers. If he's on your waiver wire, I would probably try and pick him up and stash him and just see what's going to happen. And then Christian Watson, of course, has the ridiculous upside because he's just so athletic. But Jaden Reed moves right back into that top 20-ish type of a wide receiver. Hopefully Jordan Love really is ready to go. It's just a sidebar of that game. If you did not hear, Jair Alexander, the Green Bay Packers superstar cornerback, will not be playing. So Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson, it makes a little bit – well, the Jefferson always makes sense, but Darnold makes a little bit more sense now. Justin Herbert is expected to play. It's an afternoon game. He's expected to play. I don't know that really changes much for anybody. Skylar Thompson is questionable because Tyler Huntley is expected to start for the Miami Dolphins. I like this move a lot for the Dolphins. I don't know that it makes Tyreek or Jalen Waddle even more playable. I'm always playing Tyreek. Waddle is really, really fringe. But at least, like if you don't have a quarterback who can make the system go, get a guy who's really athletic, like Pro Bowl quarterback, Snoop Huntley. At the running back position, Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce remain out. So that means Cam Akers is a very good spot start. Look, he was the volume play last week. It didn't work out because the matchup was bad. This week he gets to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who right now they are giving over 3.6 points above expectation. What that means is what running backs are scoring on average when they play against the Jaguars, they're scoring more points than they usually do, as opposed to the Minnesota Vikings, who are keeping running backs under their average. The metric doesn't have a lot of data to it yet because we're only 3 weeks in. However, it's just pointing out, playing against the Jags, much easier than playing against the Minnesota Vikings when you're a running back, so Cam Akers is in. Jaylen Warren is out. If you are an absolute psychotic sicko like me, you're playing Cordero Patterson. Why am I doing that? because I'm not playing Javonte Williams anymore. You can't make me do it. I've had enough pain in my life. I don't recommend playing Patterson, but I'm going to do it anyways. Eckler is out, of course. Knew that with the concussion. Brian Robinson, a very strong play this week. Kamara is in. Missed a little bit of practice on Wednesday. He's fine. He's good to go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bucky Irving and Rachaad White, they're both going to play. This is tough. So Rachaad White, if you missed it, he popped up with an illness, was reportedly some food poisoning. So I expect him good to go. Like wherever you had Rachaad White before the sickness, before it got him, that's how I'm approaching Rachaad White. He's still just ranked exactly the same. Meanwhile, Bucky Irving has the hamstring injury. That's really sketchy. He's not a play for me this week. Hopefully not. Raheem Mostert is questionable for the Dolphins on Monday. I don't know if you want to play him or not, but it changes how things go for the Miami backfield. Kenneth Walker, the bone zone. He is expected to play. Expected. It's a Monday night. It's the Detroit Lions. It's a brutal matchup. Running back is pretty brutal always, but maybe you had a better option. Or it depends on what you were playing, or who you were playing, I should say, in front of Kenneth Walker. If you want to take that chance and roll with him, I have him ranked right now just as a fringe top 24 guy. He is the bone zone, so he can get things done on just a single play, but that is a terrifying thing of an expected to play in the final game of the week if you don't have a backup option. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams, yoo-hoo! Guy's just getting hurt in practice now. This stinks. So he's out for the Raiders. If you're looking for a pivot there, we talked about it on the podcast. It would be Jacoby Myers, but that's really unfortunate for the Eagles. A.J. Brown remains out with the hamstring. It seems like he will be back next week, would be my guess. Devonta Smith is out as well with the concussion. Tank Dell is out for the Texans. For Tampa Bay, Jalen McMillan is out. Maybe, not a huge part, but he helps open up the offense for the other two guys. Christian Olave will be playing, so game time decision. It didn't come that close to I guess they announced him active this morning, but that one is really sketchy. Just due to the nature of the injury. We'll probably talk about him. Deontay will be playing. Keenan Allen is back for the Chicago Bears. We'll see if he can make it through a game. Deebo Samuel is expected to play for the 49ers. So is George Kittle. So Juwan Jennings moves from the superstar waiver wire pickup back to, he's okay. Look, he was still getting targets, and I think he was out producing Brandon Ayuk in those first couple weeks anyways, while Brandon Ayuk tries to figure out how to play football again despite all that money. Trey McBride, Evan Engram, David Njoku, they are out. Sam Laporta, though, for the Detroit Lions, he is expected to play. Again, that's late. That's Monday. Better have a backup option. Dude. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry to be the gloom and doom guy, but you got to have insurance. In this day and age, in this economy for fantasy football, we got to have these insurance options. Jeremy, how is the computer doing? Has it looked at all these start-sit questions? Excellent. Let's get into them.
He's so hot right now.
All right. Like I said at the top of the show, thefantasyfootballers.com. The rankings are there. There's free rankings for everybody. There's a little bit more if you want to support this show, but the start-sit tool, put two guys in there. We check it out. Who is hot? Who's trending right now?
At the running back position, Jerome Ford is extremely hot in our start-sit questions.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we'll start here. Jerome Ford or Carson Steele?
All right, so Jerome Ford will be playing against the Raiders. I believe Max Crosby was out as well. People are asking about Jerome Ford, one, because it's been super weird where –
Yeah, Max Crosby is out.
Yeah, thank you. Where week 2, all of a sudden Ford was not featured. We believe that was because of the injury that he's been dealing with, but he seems okay as of now. Carson Steele, meanwhile, gets the Chargers, who are just – they are dealing with their own injury problems. I have Carson Steele a couple spots ahead of Jerome Ford. The Kareem Hunt thing is – it's nerve-wracking because you don't know how it's going to go. But I still think that Carson Steele is going to be their primary guy. I think he will receive 15-plus opportunities. The goal line work. Samaje Perine was the pass-catching guy, quote-unquote, but Carson Steele still ran a whole bunch of routes. I think more routes than Samaje Perine, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't have the same production, but he's at least on the field. I'm going to go with Carson Steele, give it one more rip. Next week will be, if Clyde does come back, that's going to throw things really into just out of sorts. I'm not as worried about Kareem Hunt. Who's next?
All right, so if you have Kenneth Walker playing Monday night, but you got to make a decision today, Jerome Ford or Kenneth Walker?
That is a level that I would ride with Kenneth Walker. Hopefully you can put him in a flex spot and you can find an insurance policy. The names are not great. We went over them on the podcast. It's not great, but the level of Jerome Ford against Kenneth Walker, I'd go with Walker. And just do this. I mean, cross those fingers. Who's next?
Alrighty. Cam Akers or Jerome Ford?
Oh, Cam Akers. I like Cam Akers a pretty decent amount. I have him inside of my top 24, just ahead of Tony Pollard. So I like him. Like I said, the matchup is so much better this week. I think that the Houston Texans are going to score a ton of points. Do they go to C.J. Stroud, my start of the week, or does Nico Collins get dragged down on the 2 and then Cam Akers scores a bunch? That part I can't tell you because I'm not sure if people know this. I can't actually see the future. I can just look at the process of who's going to do well based off of particular matchups, and then football does football stuff, but Cam Akers is in for me.
All right, last Jerome Ford question. Him or J.K. Dobbins?
Perfect. Right? Back-to-back. We did it. Back-to-back in my rankings. Yet again. Oh, man. I have Jerome Ford just behind J.K. Dobbins. I think if I had them both, I might play Jerome Ford if I'm in a half-point or full-point scoring format. Dobbins, just the receiving work as a whole through the first 3 weeks, it hasn't been there. The matchup against Kansas City for the Chargers is a nightmare, in my opinion. So I'm going to go I'll go Ford there just by a sliver.
All righty. Moving over to the wide receiver position. I feel like this one's easy, but it is the number one asked question, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it.
All right.
Assuming Debo plays and you have both him and Juwan Jennings, who are you starting?
I'm playing Debo.
Okay.
I get it. I get it. Like when a guy goes 150-3, you have to pay attention to that. That's not a guy caught 3 fluky touchdowns on 4 targets. Like Juwan Jennings was amazing last week. But Debo is Debo. So I'm not keeping him off the field or off of my imaginary fantasy football field. Who's next?
All righty. How about Calvin Ridley versus Darnell Mooney?
Okay. All right. So Calvin Ridley, he's just barely inside my top 36. He's ahead of Michael Pittman. He's taking on the Miami Dolphins, and then Darnell Mooney gets the Saints at home. They're very close in the rankings. Man, what's going on with DeAndre Hopkins? Because I think he was like missing some time of practice. I mean, like not out, but I think DeAndre Hopkins is kind of the biggest problem to Calvin Ridley. That they'll probably flip-flop games, not necessarily 1 for 1. I mean, that'd be cool if you could predict that just every other week they're going to take turns. Between the two of them, though, I'll go with Calvin Ridley unless I just need – if I know that looking at my matchup, I'm a heavy favorite. I'm a 15-point favorite. I might just go with Mooney there because I feel real secure that Darnell Mooney's going to get me 6 to 8 points or so. Darnell Mooney could score a touchdown. But where Calvin Ridley and what the Titans are doing, they're wild. They're an absolute wild team. They could vanish. And they could beat the crap out of Miami and just be Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears the whole time. So that would be some of my concerns. So between the two of them, this is really dependent on what I need. But if I need that bada boom, I'll still go Calvin Ridley. We'll go one more week with him.
All right, stick it on Calvin Ridley for just a sec. How about him or Rashid Shaheed?
I think that's Shaheed with the Olave injury. And look, Shaheed, I'm not playing him this week. That's great news for the world because I have main character syndrome, and I think that the fantasy football universe revolves around me. This was the first time ever that I finally gave in and played Rashid Shaheed was last week. Anywhere in all of fantasy football, it's the first time ever. Of course, he puts up the 0. So I'm not playing him. I'm giving the mojo back to the people. With Olave dealing with the hamstring injury, and look, they still went to Shaheed. They just didn't connect on the big shots. But they are – this is a very it's a focus of the Saints that multiple times a week they're going to take the shots at him. Does it connect? It probably does this week because I'm not playing him. So I'd play Shaheed.
All right. And if
that's stunning analysis,
there you
right?
go. If Debo is active, are you playing Juwan Jennings or Brian Thomas?
Ooh, okay. That's quite the flow chart there.
I guess
Debo is. We think he's going to play.
Brian Thomas is a morning game. Yeah, Debo is expected to play, so I'm operating under that assumption.
Okay, yeah. I think Debo's playing. It would be, if Debo doesn't play, it'd kind of be like opening Monday night, 49ers expected to play, and then all of a sudden he's not playing. I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just very angry still. I would go. So Juwan Jennings or Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to go Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas has been good. The Jags have not been very good. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Brian Thomas Jr. Let me get the one big play here. Juwan Jennings here. Let me pull up what Jennings has done those first couple of weeks. So Juwan Jennings in week 1, look, 5 for 64, 2 for 37. That's what I expect. Average those two out. That's what I would expect from Juwan Jennings, and that's not what I'm hoping for when I'm putting Brian Thomas out there. So I'm gonna let him take over.
All right, last wide receiver question here. With Jordan Love back on the field, are you starting Jaden Reed or George Pickens?
Oh my gosh, what? That's a trending question.
It is.
People, you got to get them both in there. What garbage are you playing? That's crazy because I love Pickens this week, and Jaden Reed with Jordan Love is awesome. Look, we haven't, or I guess I haven't talked about it a ton. Week 1 was crazy, right, for Jaden Reed? That one's honestly that whole game goes in the garbage for me of just Jaden Reed's huge plays with defenders falling over because they couldn't get footing in the turf. I don't think that's who Jaden Reed is. Not that guy. But he is fantastic, and he is an every single week starter. My goodness, if I had to pick between the two of them, I guess I'm going Reed. But I really like Pickens this week. That is a brutal, brutal ask. Oh, you have to bench one?
All right, let's move over to the tight end position real quick. Sam Laporta Monday night or Cole Kmet?
So I assume this is partly because of Sam Laporta, the questionable, expected to play. We said at the top of the show. I'm not going all the way down to Cole Kmet. Keenan Allen is back for the Chicago Bears. I don't know if Keenan can make it through the entire game with that heel problem, but if he does, that's a heel of a problem for the rest of the team. Hey, because he's going to get so many targets. Week 1, Keenan Allen was an absolute target machine. He's the type of player that a rookie quarterback really needs. So the Cole Kmet, we're excited about the usage that they finally have got Gerald Everett off the field. They convinced Shane Waldron, we're sorry your best friend is not as good as Cole Kmet. We got to get the better player on the field. Shane cried because this is what he had to do, but that's fine. Cole Kmet's at least on the field now, but I'm not playing him over Sam Laporta, even an injured Sam Laporta. Sam's been very disappointing. They're all disappointing. They're all disappointing right now. So I'm playing the guy who has the higher probability week to week to be a superstar.
All right, and I'm seeing a lot of Mark Andrews questions. So there's 3 that stood out in particular. Would you start any of these guys over Mark Andrews?
Okay.
Cole Kmet, Tyler Conklin, Pat Freiermuth.
No. I wouldn't. I would not. I don't know what's going on with Mark Andrews. I don't know what was happening with the snaps. But this game against Buffalo, I would expect that this won't be another week where the Baltimore Ravens are destroying the other team and then they kind of fall apart in the second half. as they, I don't know, sit on the ball, whatever it is they were trying to do. I don't think that's going to happen against Buffalo. Excuse me. So I think Mark Andrews is in play. Week 2 was pretty good. Week 1 was terrible. Week 3 was terrible. Every other, stunning analysis, every other. He's got to bounce back. That's the rules of how things work.
Okay, over to the quarterback position. I would never use this platform for personal gain, but this is the number two most popular question, and it is a decision I am facing. Jaden Daniels or Kyler Murray in the same game?
So it's in Arizona. I'm gonna go Kyler. Washington's secondary is so bad. The Arizona defense is not scary, but Marv's gonna score today. That's happening. It's just more of a question of whose deep ball do you believe in more, and for me, it's still Kyler. Last week with Terry was awesome, but that's of the 3 weeks, that's the first time we've seen it get anywhere close to connecting, which a full connection's pretty as close as it gets. But I'm going to play Kyler Murray over Jaden Daniels. That's a tough choice. They're both top 5 options for me, so. I mean, if you want to play Jaden Daniels, I'm not mad about it, but I'm going to play Kyler.
All right, and here's one that sums up where we're at right now. Jaden Daniels or Patrick Mahomes?
Jaden Daniels, dude.
Yep. All right.
I'm not – that one's – I say Jaden Daniels, and then I'm sad on the inside. Not because it's Daniels, but our sweet Patrick Mahomes is a streaming quarterback right now. Come on, Chiefs, get it together. Is that it?
We'll do one more, and then we'll get to the people.
Okay.
In the same game, are you starting Sam Darnold or Jordan Love?
That is literally the question that I am facing in the league of record. The Alexander injury is very intriguing. Especially for Justin Jefferson, he's going to have a great day. With Jordan Love, fresh off the injury, but he has at least been, it wasn't just 1 week or so of getting ready. We thought there was a chance that he played last week. So between the two of them, right now I have Jordan Love in. But those guys are very, very close to me. Hopefully they're both just the exact same stat line, and then I don't have to feel bad. Is that it?
That'll do it. Let's
All
get
right,
to the people.
Stardom, set 'em.
ZW6 says Jaden Reed or Amari Cooper. I am going to play Jaden Reed over Amari Cooper. That's a good problem to have. Congratulations. JJ2510 says J.K. Dobbins or Josh Jacobs. Both are in tough matchups, but one of the offenses I believe in, and we think Herbert's playing. Is he going to play a whole game? I don't know. So I'm going to play Josh Jacobs there. Moving it over. And reminder, if I don't hit on a guy that you want to talk about, thefantasyfootballers.com, go check it out. Next question is VC Archangel says Chuba or Pollard. I'm going to take Chuba in the revenge game. Again, I cannot wait to watch this Cincinnati-Carolina game. Does Andy Dalton, does he pumpkin? I don't know. Does he knock his former team out? I mean, I guess it's not technically impossible that they could bounce back, but 0-4, I don't know what the actual probability is that you can make the playoffs after that. So fascinated, but I'm going to play Chuba in that particular matchup. Antonio says Juwan Jennings or Brenton Strange. I'd go Juwan over a backup tight end. Next question, Patrick, trying to blitz as many as we can here. Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels. Daniels. With Brown and Smith out, I'll go with Daniels. Next question is trying to find something that we have not talked about. I get Yasiel Ford or Quentin Johnston in a PPR. I'm going to take Jerome Ford there. I'm going to Quentin Johnston. If he gets the full Kansas City Chiefs treatment, I don't know if they'll treat him like that number 1 wide receiver. I would assume that they will. If Quentin has a good game this week against that, then we got to assess our priors. But I think that he's going to have a tough time this week. OGKP21, Richardson or Jared Goff? Oh, Anthony Richardson. Dude, you got to get it together, man. I'm going to play Jared Goff against Seattle. The Seattle defense they've had a really fortunate schedule to open things up. Their numbers look good. I don't know that they are actually that good. Meanwhile, Richardson plays against the Steelers, who continue to be good on the defensive side of the ball. We are up against the clock. Joshua says Khalil Shakir or Amari Cooper. I'm gonna stay with Amari Cooper there. Shakir is great to have on your bench, though. Very excited about that. Zach Moss or Cam Akers. We'll get out of here on that one. That one's from Ryan. That is a very good and that is a very close question. I have Zach Moss a few points higher, just because I believe in the Cincinnati Bengals offense a little bit more. Yeah, that's how I would do it. I would play Zach Moss. So that is going to do it. TheFantasyFootballers.com. If you want to support the show, jointhefoot.com, an extra podcast every week. Help support the show. The Ultimate Dashboard, the Stream Finder, tons and tons of awesome stuff.
You get that 4-player start-sit tool as well.
You get, the start-sit tool. It opens up to 4. So that's going to do it for me. Wish you nothing but the best and your enemies nothing but the worst. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep it beautiful. Mwah! Bye-bye.